Hi, sweet friends. Welcome back to Mary's Nest. And today I'm sharing a channel update, plans for what I've got in store for 2019. Well, as most of you may know, I started my channel about, I think, the end of July of this past year, 2018. And so going into 2019 will be my first full year of having a YouTube channel, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've enjoyed these last 6 months or so much, and getting to know all of you has been terrific. And I really appreciate all of you who subscribe to my channel and watch my videos and comment. You're all just wonderful, and I really appreciate it. And so going forward, I just wanted to talk about some of the things I have in store and see what you might enjoy as well. So in the general realm, I guess you could say, of my channel, I like to think of it as a channel for people who are interested in living a little bit more of a self-sufficient life, but with a few modern conveniences thrown in. I don't live off-grid, and I'm not sure I would ever be courageous enough to. So I like to think of myself as I've shared this expression with you in the past, I think, modern pioneer, with the emphasis on modern. Because I do enjoy my modern conveniences, but I also like doing things the old-fashioned way. As you know, sprouting flour, your sprouting seeds, and drying them, and making my own sprouted flour, and sourdough, and water bath canning, and various things like that. I like gardening. I enjoy growing a lot of herbs, and then making home remedies. And excuse me, I'm still recovering a little bit from my cold. And I enjoy definitely thrifting and finding secondhand finds. Even I love garbage day. I love junking and finding what other people throw out. People throw out great stuff and really turn them into nice treasures, so to speak, and have them around my house and whatnot. So that's kind of really the realm of my channel, where I say, Mary's Nest, live naturally, cook from scratch, and celebrate thrifting, because those are sort of the real three things that revolve around in my life. And so going forward in 2019, especially in January, that's sort of the month that, we're all sort of recovering from all the goodies we've enjoyed in December. So I want to share with you some of my favorite, what I call my skinny soups. And I'll be doing that in January. And that brings me to an interesting point that I want to share with you, which I think I shared way back in an older News from My Nest. I shared how I had, to date, lost 30 pounds. And that, was such a milestone for me, especially as I've shared with you, I'm in my early 60s, and losing weight in this age group is not easy. And the fact that I had lost 30 pounds was such a success for me. And what I did was, when I reached that 30-pound mark, it was getting closer. I had started my YouTube channel. And, we were sort of I started at the end of July and going into early August, and then the fall was coming. And so I said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put myself under any pressure, especially with the holidays coming. I'm going to see if I can just maintain the weight that I lost. And so that's what I did. And I was very proud of myself, because except for, a few pounds deviating a little bit back and forth during the holidays, for the most part, I maintained my 30-pound weight loss. And now that we're going to January, I want to continue my weight loss journey. And because I'm proud of myself that I was able to maintain that weight loss, because that seems like the tough part, to maintain what you've lost. It can be a little easier, I never want to say easy, but when you're on the journey of losing weight, you kind of get into that pattern, and then you get into a nice rhythm and you can lose the weight, but sometimes the maintaining is difficult. So I felt very good about maintaining my weight over those few months. But now I want to start my weight loss journey again. So in January, I'll share with you some of my slimming soups that I enjoy, and my special coffee that I make in the blender that I think helps with appetite control and things like that. And I'll be getting back more to making my sprouted breads and my sourdough, cooking with whole grains, and when I do make sweet treats, using the more natural sweeteners and so on and so forth. And periodically, maybe once a month, I'll check in with you and I'll give you little updates about how I'm doing and kind of share the program that I cobbled together for myself that really works for me. And maybe if it worked for me, it'll work for you if you're in a situation where you're trying to lose weight. And on that note, I want to add, my reasons for losing weight are simply to be healthier. At my age, I have no desire to fit into skinny jeans or anything like that, or reunion or whatnot. At this point, or a wedding or anything like that, I just want to be healthy. And so that's that. But also in January, and as we go through these next few, colder months, I look forward to sharing some of my favorite recipes that take advantage of incorporating omega-3s, which are so important into the diet. And I have a recipe for sardines I can't wait to share with you. I think even if you don't like sardines, you're going to like this. It's really good. And some things I'll do a little, overall I live in Central Texas, so it's not super cold here in the winter, and it'd be highly unlikely for us to get snow. But so I will do some things like replanting some of my aloe vera plants. I keep those in pots because I do need to bring those in because we can get some frosts. In this year was unusual. We had a frost in November, which was very surprising in the evening. But my aloe vera plant has just gone crazy in the pot, and so I want to replant. I have all these little baby aloe vera plants, so I'll show you how I do that. And just sort of prepping the garden, doing a few little things like that. I have a nice big herb garden, which I'll share with you. And then I also have a little kitchen garden, and I'll share that too. And then I also want to do some dehydrating, and I have a dehydrator, electric dehydrator, but I want to show you some options for people who don't, like what you can do in the oven and what you can even do outside if you live in a warmer, drier climate. And even things that are simple as, just hanging up herbs to dry and things like that. And then the other thing in terms of dehydrating, something that I want to do is, you may remember not last year, but earlier this year, I made a homemade bouillon. And someone had left in the comments, could you dehydrate that? And how would that work out? And so I'm going to do that, and we're going to see how it works out. And I think it'll work out great. And then the other thing that I want to do is, I got a lot of nice comments about the video that I did on making my 3 citrus marmalade. And so I want to do more water bath canning for those of you who are new to canning. And I'll talk about the books that I like, the equipment that I use, the canner I have, and so on and so forth. And I'll go through the steps very methodically, and hopefully that'll help those of you who are new to canning. I read from an article from our extension service here in the Central Texas area that a lot of people are getting very interested in canning, but that they can be very nervous about the pressure canning side of things, and I can certainly understand that. So a lot of people like to start with water bath canning, and so I'm happy to share with you, what I know about that, and I enjoy it, and so that's something that I'll be sharing. And then, oh, I think I already mentioned my slimming coffee when I mentioned my skinny soups. So that's what I call it, my slimming coffee. And I'll share that recipe with you. And then I want to do a whole grain, no knead bread. And then I also want to do, I don't quite even know what to call this, but I want to show you how to bake a bread where you soak the wheat berries or the spelt berries, whatever you have. And this is a really nice thing to do for people who don't want to go through the process of, after they sprout the grain, drying it. Maybe they don't have a dehydrator, or they don't want to occupy their oven and dehydrate it and make the sprouted flour. I want to show you how to make a sprouted bread by soaking the wheat berries or spelt berries, whatever you want to use, in your blender with water, and then they'll sprout a little, and then we're going to grind them up in the blender, and then we're going to take it and make, and I'll show you what we need to do to make bread from that. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. And on that note, I also want to show you and share with you some blender batter recipes that are very easy to make and very nutritious, very nourishing traditions. Yet they're easy because, and you can use any kind of blender. You don't need a Vitamix or any of that. And that you can make great waffles and pancakes, whole grains that have been soaked, also possibly sprouted if you want to leave them to soak long enough. And so that, I think that'll be some fun recipes. And I suspect this is going to pour over into February because this is a lot that I wrote out. And then finally, one other thing I want to talk about amongst all of us in January, and I want to share some recipes, is, you know me, waste not, want not. I can't stand waste. And so I want to talk about cooking with scraps, different things we can make with scraps, things we may, in some cases, throw out or into the compost pile. So that I think will be fun. And then two other things in the homemade remedy area, or beauty treatment, homemade beauty treatments, whatever, is I want to share with you my lavender foot cream and my hair oil, because I have to tell you, as I get older, my hair is like getting a little thin, and it's a little nerve-wracking, but I found that this little hair oil that I make really makes my hair look, well, it looks better, as good as it can look. But sometimes when I look at some of the old videos before I was using it, my hair is like a little out of control. But that's something. So then going forward in February, of course, we'll have some nice St. Valentine's things. In March, some St. Patrick's Day festivities. Also in March, usually in Central Texas here where I live, the last frost, I think, is like by like the Extension Service or whomever, the powers that be that's keep track of these things. I think usually our last day of frost is the last day of February. So March is usually when we'll start gardening. And so I'll start putting in my plants and whatnot, and I'll take you along for all of that. And so April will certainly have some gardening, May, and then in June there'll just be a lot of harvesting, and then we'll do some canning. I'll show you how to water bath can what you have to do if you want to water bath can tomatoes or tomato sauce, things like that. We'll also do a lot of ferments there. So June will be a very busy month of canning and fermenting. And the reason is because come July, it's 100 degrees here. And there's not a lot growing. And if you are growing a lot, you got to really water a lot too. And so sometimes we have to be a little conservative about that because if we do get into, we go kind of in and out of droughts. And if we go into a drought, we've had a lot of rain this season, which has been great, but we could very well be in a drought by July. And then there's a lot of restrictions on watering. And also, too, it's just so hot, July and August. So I think we'll be doing a lot of crock pot, Instant Pot, things like that, some stovetop recipes. But I don't put the oven on a lot in July and August. And September, too. And then in October, we'll have the Feast of St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of animals. And so I'm definitely going to do some dog biscuits and have fun with that. And then November, Thanksgiving, and then December will be Christmas. And then a few things that I didn't get a chance to do do this year is I'll definitely do something, because one of my viewers had asked me about this, to do a St. Stephen stew, which is celebrated on December 26th, the day after Christmas, so I'll do that next year. And then, of course, St. Nicholas Day, December 6th, which is fun, a fun tradition about making little treats. And the kids are supposed to leave their shoes outside their door at night. And then St. Nicholas will leave little treats in their shoes. December 6th is his feast day. And there's some nice little things we'll bake and do, but that's a preview. That's like a year from now. So, but in any event, I just wanted to give you a little overview of what we'll do come 2019. And if there's anything that you're interested in or that you would like me to do, sort of in that, how we can, as a community, build more self-sufficient lives, just starting out slow. Not all of us are living on, big acreages. Some of us, I know some of the people that I communicate with through YouTube live in the city, and basically they have a little balcony and with a little container garden going. And then other of my friends, live in the suburbs, and then other people. Like my wonderful friend Vicki from Vicki's Country Home, she's on 40 acres off grid. So we run the gamut here. But if you're interested in more self-sufficient living and there are things that you would like us to talk about as a community, and I am so happy to make videos on cooking from scratch, baking from scratch, homemade remedies, and I've got a lot of things planned, a lot of home remedies planned. And I also want to share a lot with you about why so many of them, the potions that I make. I always start with beef tallow, and I'll share more with you about that as we go forward. And it'll be nice in the spring. We'll really do a lot of gardening. I didn't so much have a chance to do too much of that since I started my channel late July, but we'll do a lot of gardening, and I'll share with you about all the herbs that I like to grow and how I dry them and what I do with them. And a nice thing is the lavender foot cream is that I talked about, which I think is such a nice thing to make in January when we're all sort of maybe a little wanting to pamper ourselves and recoup and recover from all of the busyness of the holidays. But lavender grows fabulous here in Central Texas. And we will have to do a little field trip, and I'll film it and I'll take you along with me. There are lavender farms here that are magnificent. Just as far as the eye can see of lavender, you'll think you're in Provence in France. It's just fantastic. So that is something. They have a lavender festival and all, so it's wonderful to see. But that's why I like to make lavender foot cream. And yes, the base is tallow. Well, that's my little preview for 2019, and if you have any suggestions on things you'd like me to make videos on, or if you have any questions, about self-sufficient living and or getting started, on that journey of being a little bit of a modern pioneer, and I have to laugh when I say that, because there are people who say modern pioneering, and I mean, like, they're really pioneering, and the term modern, it means simply that they're doing it in the 21st century. For me, it's more that modern pioneering is, being as self-sufficient as you can, cooking from scratch, making home remedies, things like that, with the help of modern conveniences. So I'm not 100% sure I always use that term correctly, but I like it. I like to think of myself as a modern pioneer. So in any event, so yeah, just leave in the comments, you know, if there are things that you'd like me to talk about, and if I don't know, I'm happy to research and find out. In any event, that's all for today. I think I've gone on long enough, but all of you who know me by now know that I am long-winded when I get to talking freely like this on these news from my nest or updates or whatever the case may be. In any event, I wish you all a very happy new year. I hope 2019 brings you a happy, healthy, and blessed new year. And I look forward to seeing you in the coming year. Love and God bless. Before you go, if you're new to my channel and you're wondering what it's all about, be sure to click on my Mary's Nest playlist, and I'll look forward to seeing you over there. Bye for now.